The universe had one rule: don't wake the humans. They broke it. In the distant, nearly forgotten corners of the universe, where light struggled to break through the endless sea of cosmic dust, there was a planet that held a secret older than time itself. Earth, as the humans called it, was an insignificant world in the grand scheme of things, small, fragile, and full of chaos. But it was also the most carefully watched planet in existence. There was a reason for this careful attention, and it had nothing to do with its resources, its beauty, or even its inhabitants. The universe had one rule, and Earth was the key to keeping that rule in place. Don't wake the humans. It wasn't out of any particular malice that the universe had devised such a rule. In fact, it was an understanding born out of sheer necessity. The humans, unpredictable as they were, possessed something dangerous: an insatiable curiosity. They had stumbled upon ideas, technologies, and forces that no species in the galaxy should have been able to comprehend. And yet, over and over again, they reached for the stars, uncovering pieces of knowledge that had been deliberately hidden from them. The danger lay in the fact that if they ever realized the full extent of their power, they might unweave the very fabric of reality itself. Long ago, the ancients, beings of unimaginable age and wisdom, had decided to place a cosmic barrier around the humans, to ensure they would never breach the threshold of their understanding. They had kept the humans in a state of ignorance, their minds asleep to the vastness beyond their world. The rule was clear: as long as the humans were unaware of the universe's true nature, they would remain safe. And so with the rest of existence. If they were left to their own devices, left to their curiosity and desires, they would inevitably break the balance, unraveling the fabric of space and time itself. And so, for millennia, the rule stood. Earth remained isolated, untouched by the cosmic forces that pulsed through the galaxy. The humans built their civilizations, watched their empires rise and fall, and never once suspected that they were being carefully kept within a cosmic cage. They reached for the stars, but only within the limits set for them, always on the brink of discovery, yet never quite able to pierce the veil. Their greatest achievements, their highest aspirations were all part of an intricate web designed to keep them safe in their ignorance. Until one day it happened. It was a moment so small, so seemingly insignificant, that it could have been missed by the cosmic overseers who watched from their hidden stations. A spark, a ripple in the fabric of reality. It began as a faint signal, a strange anomaly coming from the depths of Earth's atmosphere, a distortion that shouldn't have existed, not at this level of technological development. But over time, the signal grew stronger, sharper, like a growing pulse that began to resonate across the galaxy. The first to notice it were the overseers of the Galactic Council, beings who had long been tasked with maintaining the cosmic balance. Lyra, an ancient overseer who had spent eons cataloging the histories of countless civilizations, was the first to feel the tremor. She had been working in the deep archives, poring over data that stretched back to the dawn of time, when the alarm sounded. It wasn't a blaring siren or a catastrophic warning, but a subtle hum that vibrated deep within her consciousness. It was a call, a warning, something unexpected. She turned toward the holographic terminal in front of her. The screen flickered briefly, displaying a string of numerical data. At first she thought it was a glitch, a passing anomaly, but as she studied it further, her brow furrowed. The numbers were forming a pattern, a sequence that was unmistakable. It was a code, a message, originating from Earth. The signal was simple at first, too simple to be of concern, but as the hours passed, the data grew more complex, its frequency and intensity increasing. It wasn't just a signal, it was a message, and the message was directed at something, someone. Lyra's heart sank as she realized what it meant. The humans had found it. They had found the pattern, the key to the universe that had been hidden from them for so long. Lyra's mind raced as she reached for her communication console. She sent out a call to the Council of the Oversleepers, the elite group of overseers who had been entrusted with the most important task in the galaxy, to keep the humans asleep. They were the only beings capable of containing the cosmic chaos that would result from an awakening. And if the humans had truly uncovered the message, if they were beginning to understand the cosmic rules they had been shielded from, there was no time to waste. Within moments, the council members arrived, their shimmering forms materializing in the holographic chamber. There was Zarek, his energy crackling with an electric hum, and Arya, a being of pure starlight, her presence an ethereal glow. The group had not gathered in eons, but now they stood together, staring at the message that had begun to break the rule. "What is this?" Zarek asked, his voice heavy with the weight of the realization. "How could this happen? The humans were supposed to remain ignorant." Lyra's eyes were dark, filled with concern. "This is no accident. Someone or something has deliberately awakened them. The signal, it's a blueprint, a map, and they've discovered it." Arya's form shimmered, her voice soft but insistent. "The barrier. It's failing." Lyra nodded grimly. "Yes. The barrier that has kept them contained is weakening. Their curiosity, their minds, everything is aligning. They're about to break through the last threshold." Zarek clenched his fists. Then what do? We can't just stop them. They've already begun their journey." Lyra's voice was cold, calculating. "We do what we've always done. We put them back to sleep." But even as she spoke, something shifted. It wasn't just the signal growing stronger, it was something more. The barrier was not simply weakening, it was actively unraveling. There were signs of something much larger, something cosmic and ancient, pushing back against the walls that had confined it for so long. A force that had long been dormant was stirring, and now it had been set into motion by the humans' awakening. Lyra turned to the council, her voice low with urgency. "Prepare yourselves. We need to act quickly. If we don't, the consequences will be beyond anything we can imagine." They had no time to waste. The humans were on the brink of discovering everything. The truth about the universe, about themselves, and the infinite powers that lay beyond their world. But there was something even more dangerous than their awakening. The very act of discovering what lay beyond would fracture the universe itself. Reality was not a simple construct. It was a delicate balance of forces, a web of intricate laws that held the cosmos together, and the humans, in their unrelenting pursuit of knowledge, were about to shatter it. Back on Earth, in the quiet hum of a laboratory deep in the heart of a sprawling city, Dr. Mira Klein sat before a bank of screens, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. She had been working on a routine experiment, a series of quantum calculations that might have seemed trivial to anyone else. But for Mira, this was where her passion lay. Physics, the nature of reality, the fundamental building blocks of the universe. She had dedicated her life to understanding them. It was during one of her late-night sessions that she first noticed the anomaly. At first, it was nothing more than a glitch, a strange flicker on one of the monitors. She tried to dismiss it, but then the numbers began to shift, rearranging themselves into a pattern she couldn't ignore. Mira leaned in, her heart rate quickening. The sequence, it was familiar. It was a mathematical formula she had never seen before, yet somehow it resonated with her on a deeper level. As she watched, the numbers began to form a map that stretched across the stars, pointing towards someone. Mira's breath caught in her throat as she realized what it was. A cosmic map, a blueprint of the universe, stretching back to its very origins. "Mira, what is it?" a voice called from behind her. She turned, startled, to see her colleague, Dr. Raul Torres, standing in the doorway. But Raul wasn't looking at her. His eyes were fixed on the screen, his face pale. "Raul?" Mira asked, her voice trembling. "Raul, do you see this?" Raul didn't answer at first. His lips moved, but not in response to her question. He spoke as if in a trance, his voice distant. "It's calling to us. It's time." Mira's heart raced as she stood up, her gaze locked on the screen. The signal had gone from a simple pattern to something far more complex, something that pulsed with an energy she could feel in her bones. It was no longer a map. It was a summons, a call to action. Her mind spun as she tried to process it. What had they uncovered? How had they unlocked this? And more importantly, what would happen when they followed the map? But in that moment, Mira realized something far more terrifying. The universe had one rule. The humans were never supposed to learn this, and they had just broken it. It was too late to stop it now. The universe had one rule: don't wake the humans. They broke it. The galaxy moved with a sense of timelessness, like a vast river that flowed from the beginning of creation to the end of all things. Stars blinked in and out of existence, galaxies spun lazily in their infinite orbits, and black holes swallowed matter with the hunger of the void. It was all perfectly balanced, a cosmic dance that had lasted for eons. Yet, within this dance, there was one thing that remained untouched. One part of the universe that the dance dared not disturb: Earth. The planet, blue and green beneath its blanket of clouds, had been kept separate from the vastness of the cosmos by an invisible wall. The wall had not been built by any force of nature, nor was it a result of any natural disaster. It had been carefully constructed, layer by layer, by the most powerful beings the universe had ever known. The ancients who had long since disappeared into the ether, had known something that the universe itself could not ignore. The humans, with their fragile minds and dangerous curiosity, could not be allowed to know the truth of the cosmos. Don't wake the humans. It had been the rule for as long as anyone could remember, passed down from one generation of cosmic overseers to the next. The humans, though clever and inventive, were too dangerous to be allowed to understand the universe in its true form. Their minds were too capable, too unpredictable. If they ever managed to break through the barrier, to see the universe as it really was, the very fabric of reality might unravel. The law of nature, the delicate web of time, space, and energy, would collapse under the weight of their comprehension. The barrier known only to a few was a subtle thing. An energy field, a kind of shield, that prevented the humans from perceiving the grander truth. It was woven through their minds, their societies, their technology. It was why they could build vast machines and travel to the edges of their solar system, but never understand the true nature of space and time. It was why they could study the stars and search for life beyond their world, but never see the threads of existence that connected everything. But no matter how carefully the universe had been managed, no matter how tightly the humans had been contained within their little bubble of ignorance, there was always the risk that they might stumble upon something they weren't meant to find. The curiosity of the humans had always been their greatest asset and their greatest danger. And now, for the first time in eons, something had begun to shift. It started as a whisper, a ripple that was almost imperceptible in the fabric of reality itself. It began on Earth, a small and seemingly inconsequential planet tucked away in the corner of the Milky Way. A signal, a disturbance. At first it was barely a blip on the radar of the cosmic overseers. They had seen these anomalies before. Isolated events that seemed to come from nowhere and lead nowhere. But this time, the anomaly wasn't just a blip, it was a signal. And not just any signal, this one was different. Lyra, a member of the Council of the Oversleepers, had felt it first. She had been working alone in the deep archives of the galactic station, surrounded by eons of knowledge, when the disturbance came. She had known something was wrong the moment she heard the soft hum in the air, a signal that vibrated through the very core of her being. It was subtle at first, like a whisper in the dark, but as the signal grew, so did her unease. This was no ordinary disturbance. This was something new. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel, pulling up the data on her terminal. The numbers and symbols danced across the screen, forming a pattern she had never seen before. Her pulse quickened as she studied the information, trying to make sense of it. The pattern was not random. It was deliberate. It was a message, and it was coming from Earth. Her heart sank as she realized the implications. The humans had found something. They had uncovered a pattern, something that was never meant to be found, something that, if understood, would break the barrier. The message was a code, a map, a key to the universe itself. Lyra's mind raced as she pulled up every available resource. She sent out an urgent call to the rest of the council requesting a meeting. She had to act fast, before the humans could fully unlock the knowledge that was now within their reach. But even as she sent the call, a cold realization settled in her stomach. It might already be too late. The Council of the Oversleepers arrived moments later, their forms flickering into existence as beams of light and energy. Zarek, Arya, and the others materialized around her, their presence a quiet but powerful force in the otherwise still room. They had known each other for millennia, had worked together to ensure the humans never reached the truth. But now, standing in the dim light of the archive, there was a sense of urgency in the air that they had never felt before. "What's happened?" Zarek asked, his voice low but full of tension. Lyra gestured toward the terminal, where the code still flickered on the screen. "The humans, they've found something, a signal. It's a message, a map of the universe." There was a stunned silence as the council members processed the information. Arya, her form glowing with a soft, ethereal light, was the first to speak. "A map? But how? The barrier. It should have kept them contained. How could they have broken through?" Lyra shook her head, frustration creeping into her voice. "It doesn't make sense. The barrier was perfect. We've kept them in the dark for eons, but somehow they've stumbled upon something that they weren't meant to find." Zarek's eyes narrowed. This could be catastrophic. If they understand this map, if they see what lies beyond their world, it could unravel everything. We've kept them from the truth for so long, but if they learn too much, the fabric of the universe could collapse. Lyra nodded grimly. Exactly. The barrier. It's failing. The signal has already begun to spread. And if they're able to decode it fully, if they understand it, the consequences will be beyond anything we can control. The council members exchanged looks, each of them processing the enormity of what was unfolding. They had never faced a threat like this before. They had kept the humans in check for millennia, but now they were waking up. The universe had one rule, and it had been broken. The energy in the room crackled as Lyra turned to the others, her voice urgent. "We need to act, now. If we don't stop them before they fully decode the message, they will break the universe. We have to put them back to sleep. We have to reinstate the barrier before it's too late." "But the signal is already out," Arya said, her voice full of uncertainty. "It's already spreading beyond their planet. How can we stop it now?" Lyra's face was set with determination. "We've been watching them for centuries. We've kept them contained for so long, we can't let this happen. We need to act quickly, before the map leads them to something they cannot return from." The council members gathered closer, their minds racing as they formulated a plan. It would be dangerous, they knew. The barrier had been in place for so long that it was a part of the very fabric of reality itself. To attempt to reset it, to reimpose the containment, would be a risk. But they had no choice. Meanwhile, on Earth, something was already stirring. Dr. Mira Klein sat in her laboratory, her fingers hovering over the keys of her computer as she stared at the strange code that had appeared on her screen. At first, it had been nothing more than an oddity, a glitch in the data. But now it was clear that this was no random anomaly. It was a pattern, a message, one that seemed to resonate deep within her mind. It was like a calling, something ancient and powerful reaching out to her. Mira's breath quickened as she tried to make sense of it. The map. Was it real? What was it? Where did it lead? "Mira?" A voice called from the door, breaking her concentration. She turned to see her colleague, Dr. Raul Torres, standing in the doorway. He looked pale, his face drawn with concern. "Mira, what's going on? What are you working on?" She turned back to the screen, her mind spinning. "Raoul, you need to see this." Raoul stepped closer, his gaze locking on the screen. His eyes widened as he saw the map unfolding before him. An intricate web of stars, planets, and cosmic patterns stretching out across the universe. It was like nothing he had ever seen before. "This can't be real," he murmured, his voice trembling. Mira's voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know what it is, but it's calling to us. I can feel it." As they stared at the screen, the map seemed to pulse with energy like a living thing reaching out to them. The implications were staggering. If this was real, if this map was what it appeared to be, they were looking at the key to the universe, the truth of everything. But as Mira stared at the screen, a cold chill crept up her spine. The universe had one rule, and they had just broken it. The signal was spreading. The universe had one rule: don't wake the humans. They broke it. The sound of silence in the galactic command center was deafening. Even the smallest noise felt out of place, as though it could shatter the fragile calm. The members of the Council of the Oversleepers gathered in a circle around the central holographic table. Lyra's hands hovered above the interface, her eyes glued to the map that flickered before them. The energy in the room was tense, thick with anxiety. The message, the one that had been sent from Earth, was growing clearer by the moment. Its implications were nothing short of cataclysmic. The universe had one rule: don't wake the humans, and now, for the first time in eternity, they had broken it. Lyra exhaled, her mind racing as she tried to make sense of the chaos that had unraveled. She could feel the disturbance in the cosmic flow, a ripple that sent shivers through the very fabric of reality. The barrier that had kept the humans isolated from the vastness of the universe, was failing. It was being torn apart by the very force they had worked so hard to contain. The humans' curiosity, their intellect, their unyielding need to know. "It's happening," Arya said, her voice sharp, filled with a quiet terror. "They've uncovered something they shouldn't have." Lyra nodded grimly. "They're awakening. And with that comes a danger we can no longer control. If they understand what's happening, if they decode the map fully." Zarek clenched his fists. "Then the universe is in peril. The truth, everything will come crashing down. The balance will be undone." The other members of the council stood in silence, each of them contemplating the enormity of the situation. It had taken eons to craft the barrier, to weave the threads of reality around the humans, to shield them from the universe's true nature. But now, their ignorance was being stripped away. The barrier was no longer enough. And if the humans continued their pursuit of knowledge, it would only be a matter of time before they shattered the very foundations of existence. Lyra's gaze hardened. "We cannot let them continue. We have to reinstate the barrier. We have to silence the signal before it spreads any further." "But the signal, it's already out there," Arya interjected, her form shimmering with nervous energy. "It's already made its way beyond their planet. They've begun to decode it. There's no way to simply erase it now." Zarek stepped forward, his body crackling with energy. "Then we must act before they cross the threshold, before they learn the full extent of what they've uncovered." Lyra's mind whirled as she considered their options. The barrier had been designed as a subtle force, a constant presence that kept the humans in a state of ignorance. To reinforce it, they would need to act quickly, before the signal reached the threshold of their understanding. But the longer they waited, the greater the risk. The humans were no longer the same. They had touched something beyond their comprehension, something that would change everything if they continued on their path. "There's no time," Lyra said, her voice cold with resolve. "We have to go to Earth." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The idea of physically intervening in the affairs of Earth was not one they took lightly. The humans had always been left to their own devices, monitored but never interfered with. The rule had been to keep them in their natural state, to prevent them from learning the truth. But now, with the barrier faltering and the map slowly unfolding in the minds of the humans, there was no choice but to act directly. "We can't allow this to go on any longer," Lyra continued, her voice steady. "We must go to Earth and ensure that the map is destroyed. We must sever the connection before it's too late." As the others nodded in agreement, the Council's final decision was made. They would travel to Earth, confront the humans, and erase the knowledge they had so recklessly uncovered. Back on Earth, the days following Mira's discovery had been filled with a sense of mounting excitement and fear. At first, she and Raoul had shared their findings only with a select few colleagues. Other scientists who shared their passion for exploring the unknown. But as the map continued to unfold, as the intricacies of the cosmic pattern became clearer, they couldn't keep it to themselves. The map was more than just a map. It was a guide, a key to understanding everything. The map wasn't just a collection of points in space. It was a path to the universe's greatest secret. At least, that's what Mira thought. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something about the map, something about the way it resonated with her that seemed too significant to ignore. It was as if the map was calling to her, whispering the answer to questions she had spent her entire life asking. What lay beyond Earth? What was the true nature of the cosmos? Raoul, on the other hand, had grown increasingly wary. He had watched Mira pore over the map for days, her eyes fixed on the intricate web of stars and galaxies, trying to piece together the puzzle. But every time he looked at it, something inside him told him to stop. The energy of the map felt wrong, unnatural. The more they uncovered, the more he felt a deep unease gnaw at him. They had uncovered something far too dangerous. "Mira," Raoul said, his voice trembling, "we need to stop. This is bigger than we thought. We've crossed a line. We don't know what we're dealing with." Mira didn't answer at first. She stared at the screen, her mind racing through the connections the map presented. The stars aligned in a way that suggested a deep cosmic order, a harmony that resonated with every fiber of her being. She could feel the weight of the knowledge growing within her, like a seed that was about to bloom into something beyond her comprehension. "Raoul, you're overreacting," she finally said, her voice distant. "This is the answer. This is the truth. We've stumbled upon something incredible." He grabbed her arm, his grip tight. "No, Mira, you don't understand. There's something about this that's wrong. I can feel it. It's like the universe is trying to stop us from seeing it." Mira pulled away, her eyes narrowing as she stared at him. "What are you saying?" Raoul swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "We've woken something up, and it's not just us. The universe knows we've found it. I don't know how, but something is coming."